Good afternoon everybody. Lovely to have you with us. It is a balmy 27 degrees, 81 degrees Fahrenheit if you are living in America or the United Kingdom. A glorious day here. Oh dear, hang on. Brent Smith is talking on the radio at a great volume. Sorry about that. It is a wonderful afternoon here in the Kruger National Park, north and eastern corner of South Africa, recently voted the most beautiful country in the world. I agree thoroughly with that sentiment. My name is James Henry. On camera we have Andrew. Hello Andrew.
Hello there.
Andrew has a buff and a rather strange hat on his head, which we won't show you probably. In the final control, Tara and Louise are working very hard, and on foot with his big size 12s is Brent, and with him, with his big size 13s, is Brian, two very large human beings, two great friends. Thank you all of you for your great and kind wishes of my birthday. Now, if you happen to be a new viewer who's just stumbled across this website and you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about, well, this is not the first time we've done this. We're into the afternoon safari for this, the 23rd of October, and it is my birthday indeed, and I'm most grateful for the fact that I've had to spend it with all the wonderful people I work with. And as you look around you here, a great plethora of wild animals: wildebeest, nyala, buffalo, one or two confused impala who are lurking with the nyala, and some kudu coming down to drink now. And as Andrew was pointing out to me, he said, isn't it amazing how all the vegetarians seem to get on with each other so well, while the carnivores don't? And I've actually never thought about that, but he's absolutely correct. The carnivores, the big predators out here, have a really kind of antagonistic relationship with each other, while the vegetarian herbivores tend to tolerate each other's presence almost completely. But, of course, for the zebra, who doesn't seem to like anyone else very much at all. Remember, you are on a live safari. We love to hear from you. We've had some wonderful new compliments, or not compliments, some compliments, wonderful new comments and questions from some new viewers over the last little while, and it really is great to hear from you. Also great to hear from our old favorites, not old in years, of course, just old in terms of their... I'm going to stop there. And it is lovely to hear from you. Hashtag Safari Live or questions at wildearth.tv. Now, yesterday we had the most magnificent sighting of some wild dogs at Buffelshoek Dam off to the eastern side. Those dogs were found again this morning, just up sort of in that direction there, just across the boundary that we're not allowed to go across, but of course they can come and go. And I'm rather hoping, they do often follow a kind of pattern, for 2 or 3 days at a time, so I'm rather hoping they're going to cross the boundary again, perhaps head to Buffelshoek Dam. It's a good place for them to go because there's not a lot of water around, and so they will go perhaps to look there for some animal that is having a drink. Yesterday it was a hapless nyala, made its escape, got into the water, survived a 2-hour wait in the shallows, and then it eventually melted into the darkness once the dogs had given up. Wonderful, wonderful sighting. We're going to try for something similar today. I don't think the dogs will get moving probably for another hour or so, so we'll take a slow drive down to the south of the reserve, see what's there, perhaps pick up some elephants, and then we'll make our way towards Buffelshoek Dam. Brent is also going to go that way, and with any luck we'll be lucky. Right, on we go. Just quietly get myself in as athletic a manner as possible into my seat. I of course have to sit on a tower of cushions and blankets because I'm not large of stature. Okay, the radios are ready. We might actually just sit here for a little bit longer. I'm going to sneak slowly towards the waterhole. Let's just have a quick look at some of the animals there. Really lovely little scene going on here, I must say. What a spectacular afternoon. 27 degrees is a really lovely temperature out here. It can get very hot indeed at this time of year, but this is just perfect. Now you'll see how nervous they are when they go and have a drink. All animals are very vulnerable when they have a drink, so they'll be looking around. They'll be a little bit nervous with us here, but they should calm down and have a quick drink before they move on. Now this is very seldom that you see this. You can see in your picture there nyala and kudu, and you can see now how similar they look and how differently sized. Now they're part of the same family, a family called the spiral-horned antelope, or the tragolaphids, and you can see the similarity in the ear size proportionately, the stripes on the back, and then if there were males here, you would see the similarity in the spiraled horns. But it is amazing. You don't often, if you see them together, you appreciate the immense size difference. And I think also on your screens, perhaps it's a little difficult to tell exactly proportionately the sizes. So the kudu, those kudu cows, probably stand at about, I'd say, well, probably about 5'6" at the shoulder, where those oxpeckers are eating away. And then the nyala probably stand at about 3 feet. So quite a substantial size difference. Wonderful little scene here. And of course that is an unrelated antelope, the impala. And the impala is known as a living fossil, and that's because it has not changed its design for many, many millions of years. Unlike many of the other antelope and herbivores out here, the impala has remained consistent design for many millions of years, and that's because it is such a successful design. Having a nice drink. Oh, my lovely call of the red-chested cuckoo. And if you can hear that, toot toot toot, toot toot toot. There's a very delightful little breeze coming out of the northeast, perhaps heralding a change in the weather. Maybe we'll get some rain tomorrow. I don't think we're going to get big rain though till the middle of November. Lots and lots of oxpeckers, fascinating birds, sitting on the backs of the kudu and the impala and the nyala, eating ticks and other ectoparasites. Andrew, sorry, that's the red-chested cuckoo. The red-chested cuckoo just flew over the top of us. Impossible for Andrew to have got. Well, not without breaking the camera anyway. There, you can hear him calling now. We'll try and reverse. We'll see if we can see him. We hardly ever actually see them. So he's in that large tree there, a knobthorn tree, Acacia nigrescens. And what he's trying to do by calling like that is attract a mate. They'll mate, and then he will disappear into a host bird's nest. Well, he won't, of course, she will, and lay her eggs. And then that'll be the last she has to do with him. Now, what I just want to check is, I'm going to just check. I've got a wonderful bird app here, and what I'm going to do is just check what the exact hosts of the red-chested cuckoo are. And that is right, the red-chested cuckoo, parasite primarily of the Cape robin chat, of course, which we don't get here, so they're not parasitizing robin chats here, but probably parasitizing the white-browed scrub robin. Probably the white-browed scrub robin. Now we're looking at two female kudu there, and they of course do not have horns. Up above, the size roundabout of an impala, the females tend not to have horns. At least, no, what am I talking about? Yes, sorry, kudu are a notable exception. A lot of herbivores bigger than impala, the females do have horns, so think of buffalo and wildebeest and that sort of thing. But as Robin in Maryland is asking, are there any things like kudu that do have females that do have horns? So Robin, sometimes kudu will get horns, kudu females will get horns. What have you spotted, Andrew?
A nice butterfly over there, but it's just hiding by the power.
Sorry, there's a butterfly there that Andrew was looking for. Well spotted, Andrew. Robin in Maryland, sometimes female kudu, sometimes female impala will get kind of twisted and very thin horns, and I think that's probably got to do with the amount of testosterone they have in their bodies. I suppose the equivalent of the bearded lady, if you like, in the kudu or impala world. Then there are some species, like I mentioned, like the buffalo and the springbok and the there we go, the wildebeest, that will have horns, you know, by default, the females, but they're just slightly smaller than the males. Right, on we go. There are actually lots of antelope that the females do have horns, if I think about it. And they say that the reason for that is once you get beyond the size that you can hunt, at least that you can hide. So a wildebeest and a buffalo will find it very difficult to hide, and so then the females will have horns for defense. If you are small enough to be able to kind of hide a bit, then often they don't have horns. I'm not convinced by that argument myself, but that is the best that I've found so far. These big beefy buffaloes, old bulls, they will love to spend the middays of these warm days around the water. Hello, fellows. Hello. That chap there who just blew his nose at us, which is not a very polite thing to do at all, of course, has got a very milky eye. I'm sure he's blind in it. There, you can maybe see it there. There we go. That milky eye is either a cataract or most probably actually a damage caused by a fawn, possibly running away from lions, running through the bush, difficult to see, can't stop, and possibly caught his eye on a thorn or a twig sticking out. They always look very morose, I feel. Oh dear. She almost wants to start. Old Rusty. No. Right, so if you are on safari for the first time, we've just got a new car, Rusty, who's just getting into the swing of things. She's just struggling a little bit with the workload, and sometimes doesn't like to start too quickly. I thought maybe it was because I overfilled the oil yesterday, so I emptied out about 3 litres today, and doesn't seem to have made a huge difference. She's almost starting though. Anyway, come on, old girl. Here we go. That's it. No. Okay, I don't think we're going to turn her off again, actually. We'll leave her running. Okay. So we're just going to stay with these buffalo for the next little while. That's absolutely fine. They're relatively entertaining. And then we'll cross to Brent as soon as he and Brian are up and running. And then we will try and coax young Rusty here, well, old Rusty, into some kind of action. Now you can see a couple of these guys have lost their horns, and they've been around here for a few days actually. This is some of the last water. That water you saw that the impala and kudu were drinking at is some of the very last water that there is around. It's also the cleanest. It's been pumped, and so it's much cleaner. a lovely observation from Gilly in Wisconsin. Thank you, Gilly, and I'm sure many of our young viewers will be interested to hear this from Gilly. Gilly, you have made mention of the fact that when a female deer has got antlers, they don't lose them in the wintertime, whereas male deer do. And therefore, now young kids, pay attention carefully to Gilly's words. Therefore, all of the reindeer working for Santa, pulling his sled, they're probably getting all your stuff ready for them, ready right now as we head towards the Christmas season. All of his deer, his reindeer, are in fact females. Rudolph is not a very nice female name, of course. No, still no luck there, I'm afraid. We'll stay with the buffalo for the next little while. Most disconcerting, I must say. Thank you, Ashley. Yes, you're absolutely right. We took the dung off the front of the car today, and perhaps that's why young Rusty doesn't want to start. I've got a nasty feeling it's even worse than it was this morning. Anyway, we've got buffalo. We have a glorious afternoon. We have Andrew on camera. We have birds singing, and we have Brent getting ready to take you on a safari just now. There's some bushes over there. I'm going to sneak around the back of the car and show them to you, hopefully not induce the rage of these buffalo. I don't think I will. And then I'll just pick a piece and bring it back here. Andrew, if the buffalo come running this way, you will let me know, will you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. See how they're watching me carefully. Buffalo will see me completely differently on foot from the way that they would if I was in the vehicle. Now that's not necessarily a dangerous thing that I've just done, because they are not cornered, so they're well within the fight and flight space. They could easily run away if they wanted to, but you can see how what is often known as the most dangerous animal in Africa stared docile at us. They're absolutely fine as long as they're not threatened, and the same goes for just about any animal out here. This is called Peltophorum africanum, or the weeping wattle, and it is a very soft plant. Would you like to feel it, Andrew? Very soft, yes. The sort of more common usage for it is apparently as loo paper or toilet paper. I think that the small leaves preclude its use as an effective toilet paper. I do think, however, that it is probably an effective eye ointment. Now, traditionally, what would happen with this tree is that you take a piece of the root or the bark, soak it in water, possibly boil it up, let it cool, and if you had sore eyes, you'd put it into your eyes like that. I do know one or two people who've tried it. I personally have not tried it. I've never, thankfully, had the need out here, but apparently a really good eye ointment. That is Peltophorum africanum, the weeping wattle. Right, let us try the engine once more. Perhaps it has recovered sufficiently. Come on, old girl. Come on. Come on, baby. There we go. Come on. Nearly there. Right, there we go. On we go. We'll pretend nothing happened. Just won't turn it off again, I'm afraid. It may turn itself off, of course. Just keep an eye out for the radio. There are the old boys going into possibly the shade to have a bit of a graze. Their evening meal or high tea. So we're going down a road called Twin Dams Road, and Twin Dams Road will take us unsurprisingly to a place called Twin Dams. and I found the second dam the other day actually. It used to be across the Mlolwati drainage line, and it's now not anymore, and so there's only one dam there, and at the moment it's very dry. But we found a lot of elephants coming over the boundary in the last few days, and they have come often from there to this clean water here. Now, there is still, I mean, there are quite a few places around the here that have, what's the aerial, that have water in dams, but the dams are now, because of the hippo and the buffalo that lie in them, and the various animals that come to drink, the water is a bit slimy, green, and well, it's not particularly nice to drink. And so the elephants specifically will come to a little water hole like that because it's clean pumped water. And we pump that, well, we don't, but Djuma pumps that little pan on a daily basis. I often use the term pan, and I think perhaps it can be confusing if you don't. I'm not sure if it's used in the US or in North America. A pan is a kind of pond, I guess, a naturally formed pond, or a man made at the pond. Still call that a pan. There's a bit of wind out this morning, and it was quite chilly. And that by the time 9 o'clock rolled around was blown away, and it was quite hot today, but certainly not unpleasant at all. Oh, sorry, I need to plug myself in. Tara is probably frantically talking to me. I don't know what that means, Andrew. It's what?
Link.
Oh, link. Okay, right. So, Andrew's indicating to me through some really poor charades what I'm supposed to be doing. We need to go across to Brent. He's apparently on foot. He's ready. We'll head across to him, and I'll keep you posted later on as to what we've been seeing. See you just now.
Hi, and welcome on the Sunset Walking Safari. My name is Brent Smith. I have Brian Djuma on camera, and we've walked up to the Buffelshoek waterhole, and we found a bunch of buffalo bulls and some hippopotamus. And one of those, if we look at those hippos, you can see there's almost a channel going to where they are, and that's mud already forming there. So they've actually had to force their way through that mud to get to that little deep hole in the middle. Oh, Brian, there's a buffalo enjoying himself very much in the mud. Oh, he's just jumping up now and covering himself in mud. Now, one of the reasons we started our walking safari in this area is because it has been quite hot today, and this is the only water around this area. So it's always a good place to look for elephants and buffalo, and of course hippopotamus. But we've got to be very careful when walking with buffalo bulls, cantankerous old men. So these bulls are past their prime. They've moved away from the breeding herd. They're outcompeted by the younger males, and they form these little bachelor groups that like to stay around water holes and drainage lines. There's lots of nice grass and of course easy access to drinking water. They don't need to move as much like the big herds because they're not completely obliterating an area of grass. So from here I think we're going to move off further to the east, away from these guys, and hopefully we'll find something interesting. So we will be back with you a little later. We're going to go see what James and his vehicle battles are doing.
Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed that brief sojourn with Brent Leo Smith on foot. Now, the problem of course when you have a car that doesn't start is to remember not to turn it off as a point of habit. Andrew, I give you full permission to slap me if I look like I'm going to reach for the key. Right, I've found something interesting here. See this red flower, Andrew?
Yes.
Now, this is an interesting flower. I'm just going to smell a little piece of it. Doesn't smell at all. And it's red. You'll find that a lot of red flowers really don't smell, and that's because they use their color to attract vectors and pollinators. And this thing is called a dwarf boerbean. You can see it is called dwarf because it doesn't get off the ground, and its close relative is a massive and very beautiful tree called the weeping boerbean. And the weeping boerbean grows upon termite mounds and it makes lovely red flowers like that drip nectar down onto the ground, and that's why it's called a weeping boerbean. It basically means a farmer's bean. I'm not sure why it's called a farmer's bean. There's certainly no beans that are edible in the weeping boerbean. So that is Scotia capitata, the weeping, or at least the dwarf boerbean. And if you're interested in the Latin names of trees, many of you won't be. So if you are interested in weeping boerbeans, or not weeping boerbeans, if you're interested in the Latin names of trees, then the way to remember that one, Scotia you just got to remember, I'm afraid, but capitata, somebody said to me once, it's like being decapitated. So that's how you remember Scotia capitata, the dwarf boerbean. Now Raisa in Finland, you said, would I find you a weeping boerbean this drive? I can certainly try. I know where there is one or two. We can look around for them. You also want to see the sausage tree and its flowers. We're actually going to go straight past the sausage tree now, and we'll see if there are any flowers on it now. It's the only one that I know of on the reserve, and you, of course, and Jeffrey in Texas pointed out where it was to me, which was slightly embarrassing. I didn't know where it was. I didn't think we had them on this reserve. And you'd like to see some sunbirds on them. And so that brings up, why on earth sunbirds? Sunbirds because they drink a lot of nectar, and you can see the red flowers will be attracting animals like birds to come as their pollinators, as opposed to white or pink ones. Pink flowers, certainly pale, and anything with like a blue color often tends to smell a bit stronger. White especially, because they've normally got little lines of ultraviolet that all give off ultraviolet radiation, and that attracts bees and other insects that can see that ultraviolet spectrum, which we can't. Now, that's not one, or is it? I thought there was a weeping boerbean here. There is. It's just not very impressive. It looks like it's still getting its leaves. So half of it's died. I'll show it to you now. We'll just stop over here, and there's that big one there on the termite mound. We'll get into a position where you can see it. There? Yes?
A little bit back.
Yeah. So that there, everyone, is a weeping boerbean. Right, he says not the best example of a weeping boerbean, but you can see it's not flowering yet. And half of it is dead. So it's only growing on the one side, and I think that's because the elephants have had a go at it. And there's the growing bit there. You can see the green there, but when that is in flower, right, so you'll be able to see the flowers almost all the way from Finland. There'll be a wash with beautiful red flowers, very like the ones that were on its much smaller cousin, the dwarf boerbean. The sausage tree is just up ahead here. So what? Oh dear, something's flown into my eye. It's alright, Andrew. Don't leap to help me, I'll be alright. We're okay, don't worry. I was being melodramatic. Water balance is a huge issue out here. Semi-arid area, which means that we get probably less than 500 millimeters. Less than 500 millimeters of rain a year, which is less than, say, 15 inches. About 15 inches of rain a year, not very much. So semi-arid, water balance is a big thing. And pumping water is a controversial subject. And we don't, but a lot of the people in the Sabi Sands, landowners, do pump water for the animals. And Caroline in Missouri, you want to know there's a monkey. You don't want to know there's a monkey, you want to know where the water comes from, and I'll show you right now. But there is a monkey there. There we go. Big male monkey. That's a large monkey, and he seems to be on his own. There they are on the trees there. You see them there, Andrew? Well done. Now that noise you can hear, Carolyn, is not in fact the vehicle. That is the pump. That is pumping water from a borehole. There's a little monkey and an impala running past. That's pumping water from the borehole to the lodges, to the place where we live as well, and also into that pan in front of the camp. It's not really supposed to be on right now, but I'm sure the elephants are very grateful for it. It's also masking the sound of rustling. Sausage tree, and Raisa, there are no flowers on it yet, I'm afraid. It's this green one here. So there's the sausage tree, Fidelia africana. No flowers yet. Lovely, beautiful, huge petaled red flowers that are normally pollinated by bats. They attract bats. Fruit bats probably, like the Wahlberg's epauletted fruit bat. Nothing on it at the moment. Right. We'll just do a little turnaround. I just thought after we asked about it specifically, we'd come and look at the tree and just check if it wasn't flowering. So we'll just do a quick turnaround. Well, as quick as we can anyway. Oh, sorry about the dust. So we'll keep you posted on those flowers. Monkeys have headed off into the bush, I'm afraid. Right, on we go. Right, well, we'll do a detour via Treehouse Dam before we go to Twin Dams. There's still a bit of mud left there, I think, so it might attract one or two wallowing creatures. I've seen a few marabou stalks there as well, and they'll be looking for the last remaining carcasses of the catfish that will be surviving in the little bits of moisture that there are left. Beautiful afternoon. So, of course, lots of flowers that are coming up, many of which I do not know the names of. But I can get them down normally to around about the family stage, so we can definitely have a look at them if you are interested in flowers, and I know a lot of you are. Brent Smith on foot, of course, is a better option for flowers, mainly because he knows more about them, and also to see them on foot is a better thing than to try and show you them from the vehicle. But we will try and find a few. I enjoy them very much. Especially on a sunny day like this, they should be out. Very valid inquiry coming through here. We just had a look at the sausage tree, and it does beg the question, given that we've just seen it, why is it called a sausage tree? It is called a sausage tree actually because it's got enormous pods that look like giant knokbursts or sausages, big things like that, very hard, filled with a kind of they're not really edible inside, but they have been used because of their shape to augment the, should we say, how do we put a finer point on this? They've been used as a traditional medicine for male enhancement over the years. I don't know if it works, probably not. It's so interesting. You get down towards the drainage lines and the dry riverbed streams, and you can hear the sweets of birds calling change. And the one that we can hear now, the orange-breasted bushright. Lovely. Beautiful bird. Now, wonderful information coming through while we look at that marabou stork over there. He is definitely trying to eat the catfish here. Ich in Pretoria, who I think speaks Afrikaans as a mother tongue and has given us a few bits of interesting information around some of the Afrikaans words and terms and onomatopoeic expressions that are used out here, says that the weeping boer bean does actually produce an edible bean if it's roasted. So there we go. I don't think it's a particularly popular food out here, but certainly obviously one you can eat if you are particularly hungry. Thank you, Ich. Good stuff. Please keep it coming. So the marabou stork, huge scavenger, and it finds its food by smell, and that puts it into close sort of genetic proximity with the New World vultures like the condor, which find their prey mainly by smell. Unlike the Old World vultures, like our white-backed and lappet-faced and white-faced and hooded and cape, they find their prey purely by sight. So our vultures are not related to the New World vultures. Well, not closely related anyway. I mean, they're all birds, of course. May be able to see, if Andrew pans down here onto the grass, you can see there that there is not a great deal of grazing to be had, and the closer you get to the water, so it is, the worse the grazing will get until we get some really good rains. See, it looks, I mean, from where you're sitting, it looks like a dust bath, I'm sure. It's a little bit greener than it looks on the screen, but not much. Certainly not a lot to eat there if you happen to be a hungry grass-eating herbivore. Quick look here, Andrew. This is such a nice rubbing post. It's a rubbing post here, everybody, that animals will use. They'll roll in the mud and they'll use it once the mud is dried to kind of wipe the mud off. And sometimes, here you can see on this marula tree, it's been rubbed. Sometimes you can actually see the ticks that have been rubbed off the animals in this mud, but I can't see any here. No. Oh, I'll tell you what I can see though. What I can see is the skull of a catfish, and I think that there are one or two fish eagles that come and sit in this tree and they eat their meals. There's the skull of a cat. There is the skull of a catfish, and it smells really bad. It's been brought here by a fish eagle. I'm really glad I'm not a fish eagle and I don't have to eat that. That is pretty rank. See some of the bones. Ugh. I shan't be doing that again. That was a mistake. Very smelly. Right. On we go. I must remember to wash my hands now the next time we find some fresh water. So those are the catfish that are still sitting in these last little pieces of mud. And the only things that can eat them are things like a fish eagle, which will come and take them and then they can tear them apart and eat them. But a lot of them are sort of that size. A catfish with a skull that big is going to be about that big. And the storks, of course, and other water birds have to eat their fish whole. So they pick them up and swallow them whole. And so a big catfish like that is totally impossible for them to eat. They need to have much smaller prey, and so those big catfish are normally only taken by the biggest of storks, like that marabou, and also by the fish eagles. Driving along hoping to see some elephants. We've certainly seen a bit of elephant damage and a wonderful, wonderful query that's going to spark, I suspect, some debate from Christine in Germany. And Christine, sorry, just excuse me 1 second. No, not relevant to us. Christine, first of all, you say, doesn't the pumping of water increase the grazing pressure of elephants beyond the carrying capacity of the elephants? Yes, it possibly does. But more above that, what it does is it increases the number of water-dependent grazers and decreases the number of water-independent grazers. So, impala are definitely desperately water-dependent. They must drink every day, and they cannot migrate to water. They're just not designed to do it. Same with zebra can, but zebra are highly effective grazing competitors, and when there is water, they will outcompete everything else. So, what the pumping of water has done in the entire Kruger Park area, except for the far northern reaches and then into Mozambique and at Gonarezhou in Zimbabwe, is that, and patterns are changing now, but certainly initially when they started pumping water, I think it was in the 50s and 60s, what we found was that it immediately excluded things like sable and roan and eland and various other animals like that, which enjoyed coming down, which can migrate to water but are not effective grazing competitors. Elephants, yes, it probably did increase the number of elephants slightly, but the elephants will mainly have got their water from the rivers. There are a number of perennial rivers in the Kruger Park, and they would have mainly drunk from there. like I say, if they can get fresh water, they're not going to drink from kind of these slimy dams as they turn into after a while. So I'm sure it did increase the number of elephants, there's no question, but in terms of grazing pressure and beyond the carrying capacity, the concept of a carrying capacity for elephants, I believe, is a bit moot at the moment. We don't know what it is, and a lot of people will tell you what it is, but there's no actual evidence for what the carrying capacity of elephants in an area like this is. And you have another fascinating query, and that is, before Europeans came to this area, and the first man to come over the Drakensberg into this area, well, from the South African side, was a chap called Louis Trichardt. He died of malaria. I think it was in about around about 1850, somewhere around there. He came over the Drakensberg mountains, down into the Lowveld, caught malaria, made it to Lorenzo Marques on the port in Portuguese East Africa, which is now Maputo, and he dropped dead shortly thereafter. And many of his party suffered the same fate. Now, the reason that there were lots of elephants in this area, and yes, local people did hunt them every so often, certainly not that extensively. It's very difficult to hunt an elephant if you're only armed with a spear. So certainly there was some ivory trading with the Portuguese in Portuguese East Africa, or now Mozambique, but not anything like to the extent that there was after Europeans arrived with guns. And so I think they had an almost negligible effect on the elephant population of the area. Once Europeans arrived with guns and they started exporting ivory in huge amounts, huge tonnage of ivory, when they proclaimed the Kruger National Park in 1926, or I think before that they proclaimed the Sabi Park, which is just sort of the southern reaches of the Kruger, there were 8 elephants left in this area. Just 8 elephants. So the guns really made a huge difference to the numbers of elephants, and I don't believe, there was never an enormous number of people living in this area, and that was because of the tsetse fly, which gave everybody sleeping sickness, and because of the mosquito, which gave everyone malaria, and there was no cure. So there's some elephants right now. I saw one scuttling off into the bushes here. So lovely question. Thank you, Christine. I don't believe that the local population of this area, the indigenous population, I think they had a negligible effect on population numbers for elephants. There's a little herd, quite nervous, just running off into the bush there. We'll try and get another view of them. They're going into the drainage line. One lovely bird calling. Let's go down here. There you can hear it. It's called a southern boo-boo. And those elephants looked a little bit nervous, so we'll just gently ease our way in here. Whoops. Pop across to Brent quickly. He's got something interesting to show you. I hope it'll end up in something even more interesting, but we'll see if we can get a bit close to these elephants. Pop across to Brent, see what he has to say, and I'll see you just now.
So really exciting. We've moved away from the waterhole, and if you can see on the ground here, I'm trying to find a clear track. I don't think it's a hyena drag. I do think this is a leopard drag. Something quite big, probably maybe an Inyala or an Impala. It is from during the day. And the reason I can tell this is the cars would have driven here on morning game drive, but there's one lone antlion that's made its nest here. So we're just going to carry on this quickly. So we just wanted to keep you updated about what we're up to, and fingers crossed we're going to find something in the thickets there. We might not have signal with the backpack, but we will definitely go call in James if we find something here. So we're going to head back to James and those eddies, and hopefully we can find a cat.
Well, that's very exciting stuff. Hopefully those drag marks will lead you, or lead him and us, all of us, to a leopard. That would be very special indeed. And the elephants, I'm afraid, have run off into some fairly thick bush. I thought we might be able to get out of here, but we're going to have to turn around. I think they're heading towards the water at Buffels Hook. So we'll probably make our way slowly towards that area nowish. That's around where Brent is too. So if he does find the leopard, I've no doubt he'll show it to you on foot if he can, but then we'll take the car in so the leopard doesn't feel threatened. Interesting comments coming through about the sausage tree and the pods. Gracie, aged just 8 years. You say, does the tree grow like breakfast sausages? No, Gracie, it doesn't. They just look like enormous sausages, like really big sausages. But you can't eat them, and they don't taste nearly as good as breakfast sausages, I'm afraid. And Gerda, you say you've actually been, when you've been in the Kruger, you say that you've seen them fall on a car and cause quite a lot of damage. They're very heavy. They're extremely heavy things, and I imagine if they fell off the top of a tree onto a car, they would do some serious damage. Back onto those trees that we were looking at earlier, the weeping boerbean being one of them, and our, well, fast becoming our resident sort of tree part usage man, Ich in Pretoria. You say also that the tannins in the bark of the weeping boerbean can be used to tan leather. Thank you very much for that, Ich. Keep them coming. There's fascinating stuff. I know also that the bark of a weeping boerbean is supposed to be very good for hangovers. I, of course, have never had a hangover, so I've never had cause to use it. Andrew, you haven't either, have you? Never. No. And on that subject, Malzu, thank you. You've wished me a happy birthday, and you say that if my blue eyes are red tomorrow, you'll understand. That's very kind of you. I'm going to attempt to make them as sparkly as they are this afternoon. Perhaps another new viewer, Sharon, in Georgetown in Texas. If you are new, welcome. If you are not new and just talking us for the first time, equally welcome. Thank you. So we were looking a little bit earlier at some mud on a tree, and it was dry, and I was looking for ticks in it, and there weren't any, and you're wondering if perhaps the oxpeckers wouldn't have fetched the ticks out of the mud. Sharon, I think it's unlikely, because normally what happens is by the time the ticks get into that mud, the mud is dried and caked, and it's pulled the ticks out, and they're A, not very obvious, and B, I think it's probably easier for the oxpeckers to cling onto the fur and skin of a mammal rather than try and fish it out of the mud there. So I don't think so. Interesting question though. This is roundabout where we thought we heard the lions calling today, and they've gone, I mean they're still, I think they headed even further south. Right there, Andrew, having your teeth rattled out. We might lose our picture here. If you do, you'll get us back again the other side of this little dip. This is the Imlulwati River. biggest river at Djuma. Not a particularly wet river, but a river nevertheless. And we had some interesting queries a little while back about whether animals will dig for water. That's the kind of riverbed if there isn't a pumped pan for them to go and drink at. Sounds rather delicious. Brent has got some berries to show you. I hope they taste good. Enjoy them, and I will see you when you've consumed them.
So while we've been on this leopard drag mark, which I hope is a leopard drag mark, we've come across the most incredible thing we don't see too often. Now these are the seeds of a tambuti tree, and look at them jumping by themselves. I swear I'm not doing anything to them. This is no tricks, this is not magic. And there's a species of moth that lay their eggs inside here, and when the tambutis are ripe and ready to hatch, the moths literally jump out there, and the whole tambuti grove around us, all we can hear is this popping of the seeds popping on the tree, and then on the ground there's constant little of all these little seeds jumping. But it's incredible. Oh, look at that. That's amazing. But I'm going to keep tracking this drag mark, and I know James can tell you a lot more about this while we try to find this leopard. But I just had to show you that. It's one of the most incredible things, and it's very seldom you're actually in the right place at the right time to see this happen on the tambuti trees.
Friendly as Smith has landed me in it. Wonderful to see those tambutis jumping around. There is a moth in them that makes them do that, that makes them pop. It'll be the larva of the moth. I don't know which moth it is though, I've forgotten, it's been so long. What I'm going to do is retrieve my insect book, and I'm just going to have a very fast look to see if I can't find it. And then I'm going to have a word with Brent later about dropping me in it, as it were. I mean, I don't think he meant to do that. He probably just thought I'd be more competent than I am. Anyway, we'll have a little look a bit later and see if we can't find out exactly what it is. But basically, in very broad strokes, as far as I understand, it's the caterpillar of a moth that goes into the seed, and eventually when it gets hot, it gets to the stage that it wants to come out, the seeds start to pop. Right, we're now on the far eastern boundary. I'm astonished. I drew you a map yesterday, some of you, and well, those of you who were with us yesterday, and I drew a map of the Kruger National Park. My art is really terrible at best. And Ian in Gibraltar. Ian, I'm not sure we've heard from you before in Gibraltar. Welcome. I've always wanted to go to Gibraltar actually. And Ian, you want to know the shape of the Kruger National Park, which is basically a boot. You think of a long boot, a riding boot perhaps? That's the kind of shape of it. And you want to know, does that affect negatively the movements of animals? Absolutely it does. There's no question. But it's the best we can do at the moment. And remember that it has opened up into Mozambique, so it's now a lot wider in the northern sections than it once was. It's now opened, it goes all the way to the Limpopo River inside Mozambique, and then north again into Gonarazu in Zimbabwe, and that's the Greater Limpopo Trans-Frontier Park. But certainly what we think, Ian, is that the elephants used to move up into the mountains, like the people actually. In fact, opposite to the people. They'd go up into the mountains for the winter, and they'd come down here for the summer when there was rain and lots of grazing around for them to eat and drink. The people used to do the opposite. Now, however, there are so many people living on the borders and the fringes of the Kruger Park that the chances of us ever re-establishing those migration patterns are almost negligible. There was lots of talk a while back, well, almost 15 years ago, about trying to open up corridors to the mountains, and creating reserves in the mountains so that elephants could move to and from. Really, given the number of people that live out here, and certainly the contested space, social space that is conservation, and the poverty that is on the sides of these reserves, I can't see that happening. Anyway, we make do with what we can, and certainly it hasn't, I don't think it affects it too negatively, but it's definitely changed the movements of animals. Get off this road now and go on to a slightly more picturesque one. Marvelous information from RC in the Netherlands. Just we were talking about the red-chested cuckoo and its host. Now, apparently, where there are Cape robin chats, that's what they will parasitize. There aren't any here, and RC says often in the Kruger they'll use white-throated robin chats and also pied wagtail, Cape wagtails. Now, we don't get either of those here. Sometimes we get wagtails, very seldom. So I suspect what they will use here, probably the white-browed scrub robin. So in the absence of a white-throated robin chat, or a Cape robin chat, or the wagtails, I suspect they will use the next best thing, which will be a white-browed scrub robin. So we're still on the far east here, moving slowly towards Buffelshoek Dam. Those elephants were basically dead straight in front of us, about 500 meters, and look at the birds there. Andrew, I don't think we're going to get close to them at all, but it's just quite a nice sort of shape. I think they're two battaliers. You see them there? They're dead straight ahead of us. In the tree, underneath the canopy of a green tree, really straight over where my finger's pointing. So if you, zoom in there and go to the left a little bit, left a bit, they're a long way away, left a bit, left a bit, left a bit, left a bit, there. Look at that. Look how pretty that is. You see how verdantly green it looks? Belies the fact that it is actually pretty dry at this time of year. The verdant green, I'm not sure verdantly can be used as an adjective, I'm not sure. Somebody tell me please if verdantly is a valid word or not. That would be wonderful. So two beautiful birds sitting having a romantic afternoon, staring straight west into what is undoubtedly going to be a magnificent sunset. Magnificent if for no other reason than it is my birthday. Andrew, why haven't you congratulated me on spotting those birds?
That was a magnificent spot.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Verdantly is indeed a word. Whew. I'm always astonished when you read about some of the new words that become part of the English lexicon. Each year there's you read articles about these things being added to the Greater Oxford English Dictionary. A word like meh, M-E-H, apparently that is now a word. Meaning meh. I don't feel so good, I feel meh. Did you enjoy the movie? Well, it was meh. Not great. Pretty average. I'm not sure that I'm ever going to use it in a sentence, but there it is. I think I've spotted a tortoise shell back here, and in the absence of any heartbeats, let's have a look at this tortoise shell. I suspect quite strongly that it is going to smell roughly like that catfish. Not so bad. Now, ooh, see the termites? A lot of harvested termites on it. Now I suspect they're not going to eat that calcified bit, but they've clearly eaten off the outer shell pieces. That's fascinating. It's really interesting. So they're on the underside of it. They're not great in the sun, the termites. They're biting me now. That's astonishingly painful. This little blighter has drawn blood. Well, not a lot of blood, but a little spot. Can you see it there, Andrew? A severe injury just over there.
Oh yes.
Look at that. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to show you. What I wanted to show you is that this was probably, I suspect, cracked open by a ground hornbill. They're the only birds with bills chisely enough and big enough to chop open something like this. It could have been a hyena, but I think the hyena would have taken the whole thing if it had been. Now, the top is called the plastron, sorry, the carapace, and the bottom is called the plastron. And if you want to know if this is a male or female tortoise, what you have to do is first of all check if there's a tail piece that covers the back end. If there is, it's most likely to be a male. And if it has a hollow here, which this one does not, then it's also likely to be a male, because when they mount the female, they kind of fit into her. This is probably a female, open at the back, and also relatively flat on the bottom here. So I think this poor old girl was knocked out by a ground hornbill not too long ago. These termites, which just attacked me, vicious little critters, are not great in the sun. They don't have any melanin, and that's why they're underneath they were underneath the shell as opposed to on top of it. Let me put them back. They've actually got a little nest. They've built a nest right underneath here. We'll put that back there. Even that tiny little tortoise shell contains an entire ecosystem all on its own. Andrew, please retrieve an enormous bandage for my injury. Right, on we go. I'm rather hoping those wild dogs will start to get moving around about now, come down for a drink at Buffelshoek Dam, and then spend the afternoon with us. And just a point that I often need to make, and I often forget to make, is that if you're a young viewer and you go out into the wild, just be careful about picking things up, unless you really know what's going on, and perhaps ask an adult and make sure the adult knows what's going on too. You know, if you pick up a tortoise shell, we don't know how the tortoise has died. It could be a disease. Make sure you wash your hands after you've touched them, and don't sort of put your hands to your mouth before you've had them washed. That's very important when you come out here. Our stomachs are not designed to deal with the bacteria that live on dead things. Unlike many of the animals out here, they can cope with it. Our stomachs not so much anymore. Likewise the leaves. Don't go eating leaves in wild places because you see me doing it. One of my favourite birds around here, especially because they are heralds of the summer, are the WildEarth eagles. And Mike in Florida, you want to go and see our resident ones. And Mike, there are lots and lots of resident pairs here. probably 5 or 6. I'm assuming you mean the pale form pair that lives quite close to the camp. We can go and have a look at him perhaps tomorrow. I don't think we're going to get back there before dark. We might, but we're quite a long way away from there. Certainly if we're on the way there, I will stop and you can have a look at the pale form pair of WildEarth eagles. There is a herd of elephants and the game drive. I think that's one of the Djuma game drives, and I suspect they have exactly the same idea as me, hoping that the wild dogs will come back towards Buffalo. Gently make our way forward. Whole herd here. Look at them through the trees at the moment. I think these guys are heading towards the water. We're not far from Buffalo Dam here. There we go, we'll stop now. Oh dear. Andrew, you can beat me up afterwards. I'll turn the engine off, everyone. Let's hope it starts next time round. A large herd of elephants here, and they are moving in the direction of Buffalo Dam. So they may come down for a drink. The water, like I say, is not ideal for them because it is that kind of grey, greasy, slimy water. But they're moving with a purpose. You can see they're picking up the odd thing to eat, but they definitely seem to be on some kind of a mission. And you can't hear them. I've turned the engine off by mistake, but I have turned the engine off, and you cannot hear what is collectively more than 10 tons of elephant moving through the woodland there. 10 tons? 22,000 pounds worth of elephant moving through there. Much more than that. In fact, it's probably more like 20 tons. Silent in the woodland. Really astonishing. And they just melted into the bush. Isn't that amazing? Let's keep up with them. We'll watch them for a bit longer. Well, we're going to try and watch them for a bit longer. Oh, there it goes. Oh, no. Okay, there are wild dogs at Djuma Dam, and I can't start the car. Here we go. Wild dogs at Djuma Dam. We're on our way. Here we go. Things are getting exciting. I'm now overwhelmed with excitement. Here we go. Please, everybody, keep an eye out. They're at the Djuma Dam camp. You need to please keep a good eye on which direction they move. We will be there roughly, well, if I want Andrew to remain on the back of the car in about 7 minutes, if I don't, we can probably do it in 2 minutes, but we do need Andrew. I am at the moment on Battalier Road, heading in a westerly direction towards the Umlawati drainage line. Hold on, Andrew, I'm sorry about the bump. Hold on, everybody, don't spill your drink. You don't want to go too fast, of course. This is the bush, this is the wilderness, we must have respect, but we do need to move relatively quickly. They do move, those dogs. Right, good idea. So thank you everybody for letting us know. What we're going to do now is link actually to the dam camera, and you can see for yourselves what's going on, and I'll keep going. Wonderful, you've seen them. We're on our way there. We're probably about 3 minutes away. We're just going to quickly, we'll send you back there to have a look at them. They're apparently not moving, which is great news. We'll get there now and hopefully follow them on the hunt. We'll see you there. Everybody, we are just round the corner from the dog. Whoa, hold on Andrew, please don't fall off the car. We need you desperately at this stage. The dogs are just up ahead here. Wonderful that you've seen now 2 of them. There, impala. See the impala are running, pronking away. They've chased them down now. There they are, there they are. They're all there. 3 adults. Where are the pups? There we go. Marvellous, marvellous. Yes, what a birthday present this is. Oh, I've turned the engine off. Sorry. I'm just going to leave the engine running, everybody. If they go off on the hunt, we do not want to be trying to coax Rusty into action. So the 3 adults, last night we had the 3 adults and the 11 pups. Thank you to all of you who've been watching the damn camera, especially our dedicated zoomies. Right, there they are. We can get a little bit closer now. And I saw an impala running away here, doing that kind of pronking thing that they do to show how fit and strong they are. That's why they do it. They do it immediately on seeing wild dogs. Let me just pull this in on the radio. Stations, 3 adults from the pack are now static at Djuma Dam at the waterhole. Wild dogs.
Okay, thank you.
No, negative. Look at that, something's given them a bit of a fright. No, that's fine. Isn't it lovely? Right, let's keep following them. So it is important, if you are perhaps a new viewer, that we talk to the other rangers. It's very important that we stay in touch with them, and it's a real kind of help, I scratch your back, you scratch mine situation. So while it's lovely to have them on our own, it is very important that we share the sightings with everybody else, and of course because tourism plays such a massive role here in the maintaining of these conservation areas, and more tourists and people that come out here and are able to see beautiful animals like this, better. So there are one other vehicle coming, and these guys are now moving towards the north. Onto Djuma Road. Look at them, they're having a marking territory. Now dogs don't have territories, they have demarcated home ranges though, enormous, up to 450 square kilometers. I can smell them. They've got a very strong kind of doggy smell about them. And what they would have done is they would have got moving probably about 20 minutes ago. They've come from just up the road here, and I suspect they would have just got moving now, come down for a drink to see what's going on, and now they're thinking about the hunt. They've got 11 hungry pups to feed. It is, of course, my birthday, and Rudy in California, as you correctly pointed out, they have arrived for my birthday party. Now let's see what they do. Listening, smelling. They would have gone on the hunt this morning. I suspect they would have killed this morning. They look pretty full.
Afternoon, welcome back. I just want to find out which route did you take up to
The male, the alpha male in the middle, is definitely doing a lot of marking, and obviously just relieving himself generally. He looks a bit embarrassed, so he should. Ooh. That is, oh, that's horrible. Reports from Charlie that she thinks the pups might be by the lodge deck. It's possible. I'm not sure which lodge deck you mean, Charlie. I can't see any now, and we're right near the lodge. And if we're going to follow the person standing there, I suspect that she'd be standing way back if the pups were there. Right, here we go. I think they may well head up towards Buffelshoek, where I think if the pups aren't down here, that's where they would have left them. But I'm just a bit surprised that the pups aren't here, because the pups accompanied them on the hunt yesterday. It was wonderful to see them all streaming through the bush. Yeah, I've got a good view of the lodge now. I can't see any others. They're now heading towards Djuma Road, and that's precisely the road that we came up earlier today. One of the most wonderful experiences I ever had on foot was with some wild dogs. And Mike, you want to know how they react. They see us as a threat, just like all the other predators do, but they don't run away. They normally they get a little sort of a warning bark, oh, and then they stop and they just look. And it is the most wonderful experience. I remember the first time I saw them on foot, I was on my 10 days of unarmed walking during my training. and I came across this pack of 20 dogs. I'd never seen them before on foot. I was totally clueless. I didn't know if they were going to come and mangle me. So I remember standing, we watched each other for about 5 minutes, and then I tossed a stone towards them and said, "Fitek," which means kind of go away. And they went off into the bush, and I immediately felt very sad that I'd done that. And I mean, certainly now I wouldn't do that. I'd just sit and watch them. It's one of my favorite experiences. Brand new viewer just stumbled across the website. Very happy you have. Thank you, Tim the Juggler. We'll have a bit in common, of course, with Brian, who used to be part of the circus. That's not a joke. Here, they've spotted something. You're welcome, Tim. Lovely to have you with us, and thank you for getting in contact. Okay, they've spotted something. Look at them. Look at they've gone down into that hunting kind of pose. What do they see? People, this might get a little rough. Might get a little rough. Here we go. Here we go. On the hunt. There's an impala there. They're chasing impala. Hold on, everyone. They've gone through there, I think. Andrew, do you see them? I think they went this way. The impala went that way, definitely. Oh, they've gone already. We got them on the right. Oh, there's a dog on the right. Marvellous. Still on the hunt. Watch out, Andrew. Watch your heads, everybody. Running into the setting sun. Watch your head. There's a nasty tree here. Watch your head again. I can just see him in front of us, everyone. He's walking straight back towards the dam. Lost him. Was through here somewhere. Oh dear. A big wall. Andrew, can you see them? Okay, we're going to have to go back. I can't get through this area, not without truly destroying this car. Marvellous. You've got them on the dam camera. I'll see you now. You were right there, Andrew. Okay, apparently they came back past here towards the lodge. Well, you had one going back towards the lodge. I can't see them now. Andrew, any ideas? Okay, apparently they were going directly the direction we're going, probably towards quarantine clearings. I'm going to head straight up there. Unless they went down the drainage side. Oh gosh, it's locked. Really. Sorry, I'm just getting some reports that they went into the drainage line. Apparently they went into the drainage line. I think we would have seen them if they'd gone out. Yeah. Sorry, hold on to the pumps, everyone. I'm going to turn the radio up. This is why it's useful also to have other people with us to help us follow. Ooh. Oh, we've lost them.
Not just yet.
Not just yet. We will find them again, I'm pretty sure. They're on the hunt here. Andrew, come in. These things have gone highly mobile and running around sort of around between the lodge and trying to follow. I can't find them.
Which side are you on now?
I'm on the drainage line in front of the lodge.
Okay.
I can't smell them, I can't see them. might do is just get somebody in final control to stick their heads out the window and have a look to see that they aren't on quarantine clearings.
James, this is driving out to driving behind. I can't find any more. I'll finish the area to give you guys a hand.
Oh man, they are so fast, isn't that amazing? Even if that's the last we see of them.
Is that on the eastern side of the camp?
Yeah, affirmative. They are not there though. I don't know where they've gone.
Okay, but very damn. So, they were moving running north or east? Okay.
They went due west and they came back past the dam and then they disappeared.
Okay.
Oh. Alright, I think there might be time for us to switch off and have a listen. Please start, little car. And what we'll be listening for now is alarm calling animals. Or contact calls. Here's a lot of their dung. There's a whole lot of dung on the road, but it's from before we saw them. We should probably head this way. Oh, I'm in many minds as to what to do. Okay, I think maybe we go around Gallagher. Let's go this way. Hey, keep an eye on the Djuma Dam cam, everybody. I think other two could come past. I think you only saw one. They're not on quarantine. Final control has stuck their heads out. Looks on quarantine clearing. We should have brought your drone with us.
Where are you? Good, thanks. Tell them I see this camp area there. And with the visual massage, got a dam, running around here. No video for now.
Trying to see if I can track. There is a track going through here.
So someone with them or they crossed the bush? Yeah, they ran. No problem. What about
And the thing about tracking wild dogs is that they move at such an astonishing speed that you can't really afford to follow them track for track.
This morning they were off the face rock that side moving north. So that probably that's a block between the rock and maybe
Now, as we arrived, of course, there were a whole lot of zebra quite close to where the dogs were, and John in Atlanta, you want to know if they could take down one of those zebra. Not those three dogs, I don't think, I'm afraid. I think that they are going to look for impala. That's the kind of size they want. Just tell Andrew, I think he must check on Mbubu Road. Andrew, do you copy?
Hello.
Andrew, I think your best bet's going to be to check Mbubu. I'm now on that shortcut from Gallagher waterhole.
Okay, I'm going back to Mbubu. I'll let you know that time.
Fast and furious. Remay, you say it is astonishing how fast they are and how fast they can go. It is. I was going as fast as I could there, but of course we can't go round the trees. We have to go round the trees, but we're not quite as nimble as a wild dog. Perhaps we'd be better off on a motorbike. Although, Andrew, I wouldn't hold out much hope for your safety if I was riding a motorbike. So we're going to keep looking, everyone. It's worthwhile. They're on the hunt. They may have killed already and be eating. And we've got Andrew going up the other side there. Not this Andrew, of course. Andrew's another ranger from Cheetah Plains, and he's going to go and check on Mvubu Road, which is not far from here. Yeah, let's just have a quick look at the road to see if there are any tracks. Okay, so Eugene is over here, and he says he's seen a whole lot of impala running. Running!
Coming running out of there, out of the water bucket down that way.
Okay, so possibly that's Eugene, everybody. Ranger Eugene this afternoon. Possibly the dogs are around here. Impala running all over the place. I can smell the waterbuck. He said he saw waterbuck running. I can smell them. Musky, kind of strong horse smell. Where are the dogs? Look for tracks here quickly. Don't see any tracks going across. Maybe we'll go straight up this road for now. Oh, where they're gone. Oh well, even if we don't see them, which we're going to keep trying, even if we don't, what a magnificent sighting. So exciting. Don't see any tracks on the road here. Eugene will keep his eyes, no doubt, on quarantine clearings. He'll go around this way and see what he can find. I don't see any tracks on the road, but they move so fast that they could be going through the block here.
Stopping on time on the dam.
Keep going. Brent is also coming this way. I'm just going to get hold of him. Brent, you copy, Brent? Brent, you copy, Brent? Not hearing me. Probably over the sound of the Mahindra's engine.
James.
Brent, what's your position?
Overlook down.
So he's still on foot. Okay, copy. If you come down this way, can you try and do Gallagher?
Hey, copy. We are across the vehicle. We're going to go head down that way.
He's still on foot, everyone, so he's a little way away, I'm afraid. Right, so now we're heading towards the area, I think vaguely, maybe where they went. We're now, I'm afraid, running on serious guess time, but we do know that they are on Djuma. Andrew, what's your position? Hold on, Andrew.
Holding on.
That four-wheel slide. Quite good at those, old Rusty. I think they're in this block over here. That's where the Eugene saw the Impala going. Unless they've gone sort of towards quarantine. Anyway, we'll keep up looking for them.
The station already has been down for a few minutes. Any luck relocating Madaj?
Negative. So sorry about the speed, everyone. Like I say, you saw how fast they moved. We have to go a little bit faster just to see if we can't catch up with them, cover as much ground as possible. I mean, we just don't know how far they've gone or actually where they've gone. But I think that their pups are pretty close to this junction here, inside Whippleshoek. So maybe we'll catch them coming out. Keep keep an eye out on the road for any further tracks. Andrew is standing up behind us, looking fervently into the bushes. Very frustrating. Raisa, just to orientate you everybody, we're now on the really northern reaches. We're right on the Buffalo cut line at the junction with a road called Gallagher Shortcut. So Raisa, you know where that is, that's where we are. Gallagher Shortcut Junction, Buffalo cut line. We're now heading down south again, back towards the lodge. Magnificent sunset happening in the west there. Let's go and look at the dog. They're probably in the next state or province by now is probably not entirely inaccurate. Just a quick look, I think it was a tree. I think it was a tree though. Yes, it was. It was a tree, everyone. Sorry about that. Right, on we go. Everybody, please keep looking at. Please look on quarantine and towards the Djuma Dam. So our zoomies, for those of you who don't know, are the dedicated folks who move the camera around at the Djuma Dam. Without whom we wouldn't have seen the dogs in the first place. And you want to know where you should be looking. I would say you need to swing around quite a lot. These dogs could come from any direction. My instinct would be to say, look at the water. I think that will be a rallying point. Thank you so much for finding them. Thank you very much to all the zoomies for all the scanning that you are doing. It really is extremely valuable to us and to all of our viewers. We benefit enormously from the work that you do. And you will notice that I've been checking to see if Andrew is back on the vehicle regularly, and actually you want to know if he's got a seat belt. No, he doesn't. That's why I keep looking back. He can't have a seat belt because he needs to move around so much. Sure that some of our safety precautions would pass muster in the first world. Certainly for us, we're very satisfied with them. I say that as Andrew's white-knuckledly holding on for his life. The buffalo. Sorry, buffalo, you're very lovely, but we don't want to see you right now.
James.
Hello, Brent.
Confirm you relocated?
No, negative. I'm on Gallagher Shortcut now. I've done Aubrey's Gallagher Shortcut. I'm going to go and check Zoe's now. Where they went. They were pairing off into the block west of Guru, did an about turn, came back towards the dam, and now they're gone.
Okay, copy. I will check Buffalo cut line again. Maybe down cut line.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good idea. There's some very relaxed looking Inyala. That's not a good sign.
Andrew, I'll quickly recheck that sample that somewhere.
Right, let's do a quick check of Zoe's Road. Gone the wrong way.
Project Continental.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
north of Cruise Camp. On the other side. So
when we saw Eugene last, he was sitting over here, and he was animals went running that side as well. So we'll go and check around there. I don't see any wild dog tracks here, I must say.
You will definitely find them.
They may have been going so fast that I wouldn't see them. So Brent is now coming along the Biffles of cut line. He will check there. Gorgeous, gorgeous sunset about to take place. Very kind words from Crystal, thank you. Say we did get a few minutes with them and it was just great. I agree completely, Crystal. I'd like to see them again for sure, but if we don't, we did have a great view. And just, I mean, it's almost more exciting that they managed to get away from us so amazingly quickly. There, and they are not looking happy. They are staring off into the drainage line there. Now yesterday we saw them moving with the pups, 11 pups. We'll go down towards those impala. We saw them moving with the pups, and the pups were on the hunt with them. Today it's just the 3 of them, and Faye in Canada, you want to know, will they bring the pups to the kill? No, they won't. What they do is, the pups are definitely not nursing anymore, but what they will do is they'll eat, and then they'll take the food up in their stomachs and regurgitate it for the pups. It's an extremely efficient system. These impala have seen the dogs. They're standing, looking around, looking confused. I'm just going to turn off and listen. Well, not turn off, just stop and listen. It's frenetic. Sorry about this, everybody, but if we want to see the dogs, this is how it has to be, I'm afraid. I think we'll head off towards this area now. I don't know. Keep an eye on the Djuma Dam cam, everybody. And so I'm a bit confused as to, well, like I say, a bit confused as to why the pups aren't with the adults today. And they make them stay behind by just kind of warning them. They bark. I think they give a certain look, growl, and the pups then go to ground and they lie down and they stay still wherever they happen to be. And then the adults go off hunting. And then yesterday, it was all of them. But much like with all the predators, sorry Andrew, much like with all the predators, when the adults, there's a definite sign that the adults give the cubs and the pups. That means stay, don't move. Lions do it, leopards do it. I'm not sure about hyenas. There's another impala looking a bit skittish. He lost one of his friends. Oh, some more impala. Not running. Everybody, I'm afraid it's not looking good. Well, I mean, it did look wonderful. We probably, I think, not see them again, but we'll keep trying. Keep driving around. Can you smell that? It smells like offal to me. Offal is innards. Hear them feeding, so we're feeding, we hear them chirruping away like excited birds.
I love hearing things like this. We have Lisa and Susie watching this while you're at work, and you say it's worth the risk. I'm very glad it's worth the risk. I think it's definitely worth the risk. Probably a little bit more entertaining. You keep watching Lisa and Susie. I don't see. Everything seems pretty chilled out around here. And are running away from us because, well, we're just driving quite quickly towards. Oh, how frustrating! Hello, kudus. Please don't take this as disrespectful, so we just drive past you. Hello, Mr. Giraffe. You're also most magnificent. We're just looking for wild dogs. If you've seen them, do let us know. At least we know we can come back and look at the giraffe and the kudu. We don't find the dogs. Right, we're going to get back towards the dam. We'll have another loop around there. Maybe in Bubu Road. If they have killed already, they'll be almost finished what they were eating. And they'll be moving up towards where the pups are. So probably a good idea to just head back towards the dam and see if there isn't anything going on there. So nothing on the dam cam. So perhaps we'll just head north of there on Mbubu Road. So we had a query about the Wahlberg's eagle's nest. I think it was Steve. We'll go past it now. I'm not going to stop, but I will point. It's Mike, sorry, Mike in Florida, not Steve. Sorry about that. It's just up ahead here. And this road is called Wahlberg's Road, after that Wahlberg's nest, where those birds come. Sometimes if dogs run into Franklin's, they make a noise like that. I'm just going to quickly go back up the road here, just in case. See any dogs herring through the bushveld. Oh, okay. Here we go. Right, Mike, well, there's another impala that's just staring into the middle distance. Wistfully. Mike, the Wahlberg's nest is just in this tree up here. That one there. And there's Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg themselves. Hello, chaps. Seen any wild dogs? Yes? Some time back. Okay. Where'd they go? North. You lost them. Okay. Well, thank you very much for the effort. We'll continue.
feel like those Wahlbergs looked at me a bit disdainfully. And it's interesting, you know, when we say the predators' mothers look at their youngsters and as if to say, stay where you are. Everybody can identify with that. And Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, you just made note of that. That when your mother used to look at you like that, you knew that it meant stay put, don't move. Alright, let's just carry on across here. We'll go up Boo Road. Brent is coming along from the other side there, so he might be lucky. What we're going to do, if we do not find them, we're going to go and stand by at the end of Boo Road and Buffalo Cut Line, because that's it was just opposite that the pups were left, I think. Well, that's where they were all found this morning. Oh, sorry. Rusty's a little rough at the moment. I'm going to slow down a bit now, everybody. I think we're now into what we call the realms of and the sighting that we had. I'm hoping we'll get another one, but I think let's all take a breather and enjoy that spectacular sky that Andrew's showing us. Whew. Wonderful sighting, that. Wonderful, wonderful. Once again, thank you to all of you for keeping an eye on the camera at the dam, and to the zoomies for moving it around and scanning so efficiently. Wild dogs, of course, have got very unique, or you can't be very unique, they have completely unique markings. No two look the same. Julia, you noticed that on the shoulder there seemed to be a skull patch, something like an obvious skull on one of the females. Julia, I have not noticed that, but I'm definitely going to look out for it next time I see them, which with any luck will be just now. So this is round where this is where that one came herring across the road. Then they turned up north. And then they went into the ether. Fantastic when they dropped down into that that kind of hunting pose, and we knew the game was on then. Dropped down a gear, revved the engine, and off we went, only to be thwarted by the Cumbritum woodland and the mess that the elephants have made pushing the trees over. Elephants are not very considerate about our need to follow wild dogs on the hunt. So also, just to keep you posted, I've got Brent on the radio. Hang on. Go ahead. I'm now going up on Bull Road. I've checked
So he's quarantined. There. Copy that. I'll come there now. Brent is just up ahead of us here. He's got 7 hyenas there. So, not to be confused with wild dogs. Let's go and have a look at them. Dogs. Well done, Andrew. They've killed and they've fed the pups. Look at the blood on their faces. Let me move a little bit forward. Back, sorry. We've got them here.
Copy, James. I think there's a nuclear going to come in there. They are listening and looks like they're about to get mobile in your direction.
Okay, copy that. The dogs are now heading north. They're heading straight towards the hyena. No, they're not. Now they're crossing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count the pups, everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're all there. Okay. Oh, now, please start, car. Please start. There we go. There we go. Stations. These animals are now mobile. Whole pack in a westerly direction off the Djuma road towards the drainage line. We keep trying to follow them through here. Brent is just in front of us, and I'm going to ask him to go round the other road. It does get very thick and drainage line in here. They're straight in front of us. It gets very, very bumpy in here, everybody. Brent, they're heading due west towards the drainage line. This is around about where Brent thought that hyena den might be, so they need to be careful here. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Look at that. There's a giraffe. They're scattering away from the giraffe. 2 giraffes. And the smell is unbelievable. We'll try and follow them. Sorry about that tree. I know you'll be okay. You can still see them in front of us. We're now getting towards the drainage line where the elephants have made a massive mess. Brent is behind us, so he'll help us try and sort of head them off. Giraffe to the right. And that giraffe is chasing the dogs now. There they go, they're going straight through in front of us there. Ooh, we're not going to get through there. Now I'm pretty sure those pups would have eaten, and they would have been, had their food regurgitated for them, but they might be on the hunt again. We're going to have to go around to Gallagher. We'll go the other way. Right, Brent is going to go around to the north. We'll go around to the south. Look at all the giraffe in front of us. Let's just have a quick look there. What an amazing drive. And for those of you who were watching last night, you'll be worried, and having watched, you'll want to know what happened to that nyala that they chased into Bivels's Dam. The nyala actually did survive. It got out, it outweighted them, got out of the water, and eventually made it. So it's made it through the night, we think. I don't think they did eat last night, actually. They probably ate this morning. They look pretty fat. We're going to get onto the road and go round afraid there's no way of getting through that drainage line without spending an extended with a broken car, which we don't want, especially as young Rusty is a little bit temperamental as it is. Once again, just a quick apology for the speed that we're having to go, the frenetic nature of what is normally a pretty well-suited soporific drive, I'm sure. But for dogs, it's different. Andrew, you're right.
Good.
How many compacted vertebrae have you got?
Only 3.
Only 3. Well, I think that's a pretty good return. Ready?
Once more.
Now, what we saw was those giraffes chasing the dogs. Isabella, aged just 4 years old. You want to know if those the dogs would eat the giraffe? No, they wouldn't. Isabella, they're too small. I'm going to get an update. I don't know who this is or what he's doing. Station on the River Road. Made the dogs. Station from Jacobin on River Road. Sad if they didn't know about the dogs and they missed them. Station on Djuma Road from Jacobin Lodge. Maybe Brent saw them because the city gang is quite lit. Hyena, you're asking, would definitely do as much as they could, eat the dogs if you could. Sorry everybody, we know that your picture is making a bit of an issue. Signal's going in and out. We don't have signal from the other camera because it's a bushwalk camera. I'm being savaged by a spider. Never mind, I've thrown it out. But it's because of the speed and the rattling, I'm afraid. I just really get any kind of sustainable signal or sound. Sorry about that, but wow. Wild dog.
Out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us.
Hello everyone, we've given up on the dogs, I'm afraid, and that's because it's now got dark and they've come into a very sort of difficult area. And I'm sorry that we lost signal there. Something to do with chasing the wild dogs got in the way of our signal, but we've stopped here. The little family of giraffe that are sitting in the last sort of embers of the 23rd of October 2015. We won't put a light on them, so we'll just enjoy them in
in the darkening light. Now, of course, the camera is very clever, and what it does is it pushes it kind of sucks as much light as it can out of what is left. So what you're looking at is actually much brighter than what I'm looking at. Now, these giraffe are looking at something about where we had the dogs, or no, where we thought the dogs were heading. I don't smell them, and that is pretty indicative of the fact that they haven't been through this area. Isn't he wonderful? Lovely bull, that. You can see his skull calcifying. See her looking off to roundabout where we thought the dogs might pop out. Gorgeous long eyelashes. She's covered in ticks. The oxpecker's not doing a great job on her face. And I suspect you'll find that's because she doesn't tolerate too many oxpeckers on her face. She's wandering off into the night. Now, Brent Smith came back from drive this morning in a real high, on a real high. He wasn't in a high, he was on a high. And he was on a high because of what he described as the best giraffe sighting he'd ever had. And sorry, I thought that was what it was. And Deb in Sugarland, you've just reminded us of it, and you've reminded us of the fact that those two young bulls were sparring with each other. And you want to know, is that a learned or instinctual behavior? Deb, I think you'll find, as with most male mammals, that kind of sparring behavior that goes on, you know, I mean, it happens with the elephants, it happens with impala, it happens with human beings and chimpanzees and all sorts, probably with dwarf mongoose as well. You'll find that it is entirely instinctual. They just, boys, when they start to get testosterone coursing through their veins, they start to get a little bit more aggressive, and they'll start to have a little bit of a box. And that's what was going on there, I suspect. I'm rather jealous of that sighting. Apparently it was just spectacular. He doesn't look particularly concerned about anything at all, that fellow. We had obviously the most magnificent wild dog sighting imaginable today. Andrew's just getting a light to brighten my face. Thank you, Andrew. Very nice light that you have there. Technology. The dogs, we found, you found them actually, our zoomies, and you watching the Djuma dam cam found them at the waterhole. They were having a drink. All three adults came down. Then they went off. They headed off at 100 miles an hour trying to catch something. They definitely did catch something. Then we drove around for ages and eventually Andrew spotted them in that drainage line system, or sort of dry riverbed system, and they may hunker down there for the night. And with any luck, they'll come out tomorrow morning on their morning safari. Now, we don't view them at night, so we're not going to go and look for them at the moment. We're just going to drive gently forward and see what else we can find as far as nighttime animals go. Incredible, incredible sighting, and the most wonderful birthday present for me. Thank you, universe. Right, on we go. Andrew, now you'll know what it feels like to hold the spotlight. Hold that for you. So the reason we're giggling, everybody, is that Rusty, of course, is on a
nighttime vehicle yet. She's kind of, she's on well, she's on probation really, and she doesn't have all the lighting equipment. She's got the 2 side lights, which are very effective. She's got a backlight, and she doesn't have the light that lights my face. And lighting my face is Andrew holding my iPhone. Thank you, Andrew. And that's the torch that is now shining onto my face. Now Wendy of course would normally be doing this, but unfortunately, and I cast aspersions on poor old Brent Smith yesterday about, I had visions of the aerial of Wendy snapped off after he was on the hunt for those wild dogs, and it didn't. It actually just broke while he was on a normal road. And we're still waiting for that to be fixed, I'm afraid. So Wendy would normally be doing the night shift, but at the moment she can't. Jigger, as you may or may not know, is in town, in hospital, having a bit of some cosmetic surgery and some internal surgery as well. And hopefully she will be back within the week or so. Lots of enthusiasm, certainly last night and today, for that poor Nyala who ended up in Buffelshoek Dam last night and eventually, well, as far as we can tell, made good her escape. And Monique in London, you are possibly the greatest fan of our Nyala. I was very pleased to see her come out, I must say. Sorry, I keep staring at the light and not the camera. It must be very disconcerting for you. Monique, you want to know, do they eat the whole animal? Whatever they caught, would they have eaten the whole thing? Yes, they would have. They would have devoured just about everything. Maybe not the hooves, but certainly they crunch all the bones, they eat all the insides, they eat all the meat. And then they go, remember, they've got to maximize the opportunity, because they would have rushed up and they would have regurgitated quite a lot of it for those hungry 11 mouths. And I suspect they could catch again now, or if they could have, they were running with the pups. If they could have caught again now, I think they probably would have. And I don't think it was a Nyala this time. I suspect it was probably an Impala, or something smaller like a Dyker. But while you're driving around trying desperately to find them, you'll find that they were eating. Definitely caught something. I suspect the one that we followed back towards the dam was probably a ruse, the other two, and I suspect the other two killed in that block that we went into. He's gotten loose, I think, on the vehicle during the WildEarth, on that magnificent hunt for the dog. Sorry everybody, we definitely rattled something off or loose in the aerial here, so we're going to drive very slowly. We're on quarantine. Apparently there was some hyena activity here, and so we're just going to listen carefully. I can't hear anything at the moment. I daren't stop the car. We did, and Andrew and I, about say 3 minutes ago, just further up the road there, had a very strong dog smell. They were definitely around that area. So we'll just drive very slowly here and see what we can see.
a little bit of work on the car this evening, see if we can't figure out what on earth is rattling about with the signal. There is a disturbing noise coming from the aerial, so perhaps that's what it is. But if we go at this speed, apparently it's okay. You can see us and we can hear what's going on. Pretty Nightmare has pointed out, Rusty definitely had an overdose of oil yesterday. I did remove half of what I put in today though. It did seem to make a difference to start with, but then not so much. So I don't know, I'm really no mechanic. You have hit definitely a nail upon its proverbial head when you say that the loose connections are going to have to be checked on Rusty after that wild dog hunt. Absolutely. It was her first wild dog hunt, to be fair. She had a brief one yesterday, but it was nothing like this one. So Rusty's going to have to get used to that kind of vigorous activity. With any luck. She'll be back in full working order tomorrow morning. I may be tempted to take a little bit more oil out of her.
Crossing back to the east, thank you.
So I really hope tomorrow morning is going to bring us dogs hunting again. Just too much fun. Too much fun. So we're just going to drive slowly along here and talk about a few creatures of the night. And Sandy, you're in Indiana, which I have, that's a horrible smell. We get these funny stink bugs that smell like sort of rank apricots. We either drove over one or one flew past my nose. Very disgusting. Sandy, you like owls, and the biggest owl we get is called a giant eagle owl, and because we're driving at extremely slow speed, I will find you this owl. I'll show you a picture of it. Giant eagle owl, and then I'll show you how big it is. So the giant eagle owl is that one there. So I'll stop and I'm actually really asking quite a lot of you there to be able to shine on the owl and camera and move. That's the giant eagle owl there. Sorry, let me shine the light. There we go. That's him there. Beautiful big bird, and we do get them here, normally in the thick trees around the riverbeds. There we go. And he's about that big. Stands about that tall. He stands roughly that tall. Huge bird, massive, beautiful bird with pink eyelids, lovely pink eyelids. Sorry, so what I meant was from here to here, about sort of, there we go, almost 2 feet tall. A huge amount going on quarantine clearings at the moment. Get that one. All sorts of funny boxes. Hailed by Brent Smith. I believe he wishes to give me something. Brent, come in, Brent. Brent, do you copy Brent? able to get him. The radio is actually broken. We'll turn it on and off. Glorious evening. The temperature has not dropped. There goes a little scrub here into the darkness. The temperature has hardly dropped at all. Ah, there he is. There is Brent Smith there. Let us get a report from him on the dogs and where he thinks they went. Ah, what a very pleasant scene this is.
Well, happy birthday, James. Happy birthday.
Ah, thank you very much.
We managed to collect some very dodgy Buffalo's Hook
Water
for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so while we were tracking around there's some Buffalo's Hook water for you.
Buffalo's Hook water. Everybody, this is what Brian looks like when he's on the walk. Brian, would you take 2 steps back, please?
Oh, yes. Yes.
You'll notice that Brian is wearing what look like riding boots. They are in fact called gaiters. That's very good, Brian. Well done.
Thank you.
And those gaiters protect him from ticks. He doesn't tolerate oxpeckers on his skin. You'll notice that Brent Leo Smith's skin is distasteful to ticks, and so he doesn't have to wear them. Thank you for our drink.
No problem.
I'm going to, shall I take it with me?
You can take it with you.
Thank you for this beautiful...
And we'll be waiting here watching the sunset.
Wonderful. Thank you. Delicious Buffalo's Hook water. Everybody, it tastes like catfish guts. It's really disgusting. Thank you very much. We'll see you just now. Nice to relax, isn't it? Watching the sun disappear down over the African horizon. So I'm afraid because of the signal, we're going to drive, we'll probably do another loop of quarantine. Not a bad idea, because there were hyenas shouting around the area. I'm really hoping that they didn't come across the dogs. We smelt the dogs quite a long way from here, so we think that probably didn't happen. But we'll just see if we can't spot a hyena or 2 around here. As we were just to remind you, we had some very good questions from M in London about what hyenas would do if they came across wild dogs. And my worry is that at night like this, when the dogs, I mean, they can see better than us at night, but not as well as a cat or a hyena. My worry is that those pups would be in danger. So I hope that they got away. I'm sure they would have. I'm sure they would try. We'll turn a little bit. This is around where the hyenas were. I'm sure after a day like this they may well be thirsty. So we'll head towards the dam. See if there isn't anything there. I'm sure our zoomies are looking. We've made a lot of mention of the fact that wild dogs, or not wild dogs, that animals are needing to drink at the moment, and I've spoken at great length about the fact that elephants, if they can, will always drink from very clean water sources. Now, Laura, you asked, would the wild dogs specifically come down to the clean water? No. The predators are really, A, they're not that water dependent, they get a lot of water from what they eat, and B, they've got such powerful digestive systems that they will often go down towards, like we had the wild dogs at Buffalo's Hook Dam, and I promise you now, you wouldn't, having just tasted some now, you wouldn't touch any of the water in Buffalo's Hook Dam. It's not very delicious at all. And so the wild dogs don't mind that, the leopards and lions don't mind that. In fact, most animals don't mind it. If they can drink clean water, then they will. But often, I mean, I've seen that we've all seen that Buffalo's Hook Dam, not Buffalo's Hook Dam, Djuma Dam full, and that pan next to it has always got water in it. But often animals will drink out of the dam regardless. The elephants especially, that like to drink clean water. Dogs, they don't mind the muddy stuff. I've seen lions drinking what can only be described as a kind of mud smoothie, and they've got no problem with it. Turn gently down here. And a very heartfelt appreciation to all the kids of the cancer ward at the Ohio Dayton Children's Hospital. Thank you, kids, for your happy birthday wishes. I'm so glad you're still on board with us. We love to hear from you. Please keep sending our questions and keep watching us. It's good to have you along on all our safaris. Thank you very much for those birthday wishes. It's very kind of you. Jackal. No, it's not a jackal. I'm talking rubbish. It's a stick. Sorry, everybody. It's a stick. That's you've seen a termite mound wild dog, Andrew. I've seen a stick wild dog, and I've also seen a stick jackal. Whoops. So Alina, Savannah, Mumsy and Diane, thank you. You have helped me out here. The moth that we were talking about, the larva that sits inside the tambuti seeds, you have identified as, I think, ambrosia. Is that correct? Come back to me now. Emporia. Now, so it's an Emporia, probably Metanospis, but possibly a number of other Emporia species that get into the seeds there. Not much going on here at the water. Emporia Metanospis. Thank you very much to all of you for that information. And for those who've just perhaps joined us, they're talking about a larva of a moth that goes into the tambuti seeds. And when it gets around about this time of year, they start to pop. And it's a bit like a Mexican jumping bean, which of course is a bean that also has a larva in it, and it jumps. The larva starts to move. Now, I showed you Brian's gaiters, which are there, of course, to protect him from the ticks. And Laurie in Tampa, Florida, you're very worried. You see Brent sitting on the floor when he's doing his bushwalks, and you're worried that he might pick up a disease. Well, there are two things to say about that. The first is that Brent Smith has the immune system of a piece of wrought iron. I've seen him have a cold for half a day once. He has been to some of the most parasite-riddled parts of the world and come back completely unharmed, and I think that he will be absolutely fine. The second thing to say about that is that anyone can sit on the ground here and be absolutely fine. I lie on the ground in the grass here regularly. There's absolutely no problem with it. You really would have to be very unlucky to get sick from some kind of disease from the ground around here. You'd have to be extremely unlucky. So Laurie in Tampa, Florida, it really is not it's not a sick place to be. It's not a place where you need to worry desperately about getting disease. Some of the water might give you a disease if you drank it. Some of the ticks can give you what we call tick bite fever. But if you've had tick bite fever from an area, you're unlikely to get it again. And it's really not a particularly bad thing. Yeah, you feel a bit meh for 4 or 5 days. You like my contemporary use of the word there, Andrew? Thank you. You feel sick for 4 or 5 days and then a bit of antibiotics and you're absolutely fine. Like I say, malaria is a big worry. Well, it's not a big worry, but you can be quite sick from it. And bilharzia as well, can be a bit of an issue in some of the water sources. But really, sitting on the ground here is a wonderful way to connect with the wilderness, and you're really not going to pick up anything. And Laura, you say you've seen a lot of wildlife documentaries where people get sick, or they probably tell you can get sick. There is, of course, always that sort of need amongst certain filmmakers to be a little bit sensationalist about the devastating effects of various diseases in wildlife areas. I've certainly seen a number of shows about areas like this where you'd swear blind that if you were to step foot out of a car, you'd be savaged by horns, teeth and claws before you'd taken your next breath. It's just not like that. So, no, Laurie, come out here, you can sit on the ground and you connect with some of the world's most ancient soil sources, and you will feel profoundly at ease and greatly enjoyed. So nothing going on at the dam. We're back onto quarantine. Like I say, we can't go driving around at more than this slightly ridiculous speed that we're going, because Rusty is a little bit shaken up after the wild dog hunt. A little bit faster and see if she can handle it. Apparently she can't handle it. Sorry about that. Right, so just a few minutes left of drive. Andrew has built the muscles up in his arms from holding the cell phone. Are you feeling alright there, Andrew? Yes. So, wonderful stars out this evening. A 3/4 moon, or 2/3 moon. Very beautiful to be here on my birthday. Couldn't think of a nicer place to be, actually, especially with the weather so balmy and fine. And in case any of you are wondering, I turned 23 today. I look a bit older than that, but I'm not really. We have a game drive, something to look at. That's quite exciting. Andrew, look at that. It's a game drive. Ah. See who it is. I suspect Taxon or Aubrey. Ti komile. Ja, ti komile. Ja. Till Aubrey's Road. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Bye-bye. That's Andrew, everybody. Apparently the wild dogs are on Aubrey's Road now, which is still on the reserve. There's no ways we're going to get there before the car explodes, so we're just going to continue at this very sedate pace, but it's nice to hear that they're okay. I'm not sure who's with them now, but they're okay. Good to know. I can see the wildebeest sleeping gently on the clearing. Of course, we wouldn't go and look at the wild dogs anyway at this time of the day. It's not very good for them. And when I say it's not very good for them, I mean that we don't want to shine light on them. Like I say, they do have conflict with hyenas. And as Brent pointed out, Brent gave a number of examples last night where he described how hyenas have followed his spotlight, 2 sightings, And the worry is that if you shine on, say, an animal like the wild dogs, which are sensitive to hyenas and vulnerable to their attack, especially the little ones, there'll be a problem. Right. Now into what is termed the law of diminishing returns. We can't drive any faster than this, and so we're going to say goodbye to you. An enormous thanks for all of your very kind wishes for my birthday today. It unfortunately won't be my birthday anymore tomorrow, which makes me sad. Always found the 24th of October slightly depressing day. Never mind. I'll be 23 for the next 364 odd days. Wonderful, wonderful wild dog sighting today. So exciting. I just absolutely love watching them, and I'm hoping they'll be around here in the morning. Big thank you to Andrew on camera. He's basically done the work of an octopus today with the various things he's had to do, holding on, filming, shining the torch, fixing the aerial. Thank you to Tara and Louise in the final control, Eugene, who was driving around in his little white pickup looking for the wild dogs, and of course a big thank you to Brent and Brian, who are going past now for their 3 minutes on the walk. Well done. On that note, I'm going to turn the car off on the slope so that I can roll back home should she decide not to start again. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with a bit more working technology at 5:30. Thank you for your questions and contributions. Always good to hear from you, and we've had some lovely